We want to turn now to the $83.3 million in damages a federal jury says former President Donald Trump must pay writer E. Jean Carroll for repeatedly defaming her. The 9-person panel reached a verdict in just under 3 hours on Friday. Afterwards, Judge Lewis Kaplan told the jury, whose names and details were kept anonymous throughout the trial, that while they are now free to speak publicly, he did not advise it. Joining us now, attorney for E. Jean Carroll, Sean Crowley. She delivered an opening statement in the trial and did the rebuttal and questioned multiple witnesses. It's great to have you on the show. I guess, first of all, I'd love to hear how your client is doing. And what happens if Donald Trump defames her again?
Great to be here. E. Jean is doing well. I think she's finally gotten a little bit of sleep over the weekend, and she's feeling great. You know, as to what happens if he defames her again, I think it's definitely worth pointing out that it's been 4 days now and he hasn't yet. And that's quite remarkable given his reaction to after the last trial, and in the days and weeks leading up to this trial where he was pretty much defaming her every single day. So we'll see what happens. We'll see if he can stay quiet and, you know, go from there.
Yeah, certainly striking on Truth Social over the weekend that Trump attacked the judge and tracked the process, but never mentioned your client. So let's a little more on this. First of all, what was your reaction to the size of the verdict, the $83.3 million, when all told, including the punitive damages here, and how Trump has vowed to appeal? How confident would you be in that part of the process?
So we sort of suspected that, well, first of all, you can never really be sure of what juries are going to do. But we suspected that the punitive award might be high given what Donald Trump was doing during the trial. Both, you know, after trial each day, he would go out and give a press conference or go on Truth Social and continue to defame E. Jean. And then his behavior in the courtroom, where he would walk out when he wasn't happy, wave his arms, shake his head, really just showing the jury in real time that he does not believe that he's bound by any rules or any laws. So we expected that perhaps the punitive award would be high. I don't think anyone expected that it would be quite that high, but we were certainly pleased.
So, Sean, are you suggesting that his performance in court may have led to higher punitive damages than he might have had if he'd stayed away from court, which of course he would have been allowed to do if he just hadn't been in the courtroom? And also, when do you think E. Jean's going to see some of this money?
So I do think that it probably increased the punitive award to see him. I mean, you know, usually what happens in a trial is lawyers describe conduct, and sometimes there's video and sometimes there's written evidence. But to allow the jury to see it actually happening before their very own eyes, they don't have to just trust us in what we're telling them has happened. They actually see him living it out right before them. That I do think that it contributed to the punitive award. As for when she's going to see the money, you know, his lawyers have vowed to appeal. In order to do that, he has to actually post a bond or put the money in the court. That hasn't happened yet. If he does, he'll appeal within the next couple of weeks, and we'll go through that process. We feel quite confident that at the end of the day, you know, we have very, very strong arguments on appeal. And once we're victorious there, we will seek to enforce the judgment, and she'll get paid.
Sean, I'm curious, are there other women out there that you all have considered representing? Clearly, E. Jean Carroll is not the only one that was victimized by what he bragged about on that famous quote as he got off that bus. And there are other women. Are there others waiting in the wings to see how this went? And would they step forward now and bring a lawsuit similar to this in the future?
Well, I can tell you that in the last trial, last April, May, where the jury found that he had sexually assaulted E. Jean, we had 2 other witnesses testify, Natasha Stoynoff and Jessica Lee, about sexual assaults that he had committed on them, one before and one after he assaulted E. Jean Carroll. So for sure, there are other women out there who he's abused, and you know, I think they were not our clients, and they weren't seeking a judgment or any money. But I think that they felt that it was important for them to be able to tell their stories to a jury as well.
Attorney for E. Jean Carroll, Sean Crowley, thank you very much for coming in this morning.